So, while as a fearful avoidant, it may feel like silence is golden, especially when you're triggered. It may still be blocking your path to authentic love and connection in your life. And in fact, it may be infringing in all of your different relationships. So, in today's video, we are going to discover the undeniable reasons why opening up and communicating is actually the key to breaking free from relationship turmoil. So I've often had a lot of client sessions with many individuals over the years and had the discussion with fearful avoidance about when they're trying to move a relationship along with their partner and they're finding themselves really butting heads in the power struggle stage of relationships, why they basically have no choice but to learn to communicate and get comfortable with vulnerability if they actually want a healthy relationship. And most of the responses I get from fearful avoidant clients are things like, yeah, but I just don't see myself doing that. Or, yeah, but that's terrifying. Or, yeah, but what if I am vulnerable and then I'm betrayed or abandoned and then I just feel silly about the whole thing? The answer is that we have to make that choice, not because of the outcome, but because it's a choice that we want to make to grow, to better, and to heal ourselves. And if you've ever had the experience of feeling those really intense, really overwhelming emotions as a fearful avoidant, and then feeling really frustrated by your partner, one of the biggest reasons this happens over and over again is because there's a buildup of a lack of communication that's taking place. So, we're going to go through and I'm going to talk a little bit about the root causes for why this happens. And I'll give you some context for why it can be really difficult and really scary. Then, I'm going to give you a two-step solution that's going to be really beneficial for communication and getting your needs met. And then we're going to talk about some of the benefits of this overall. So, the first thing is that the reason it's so difficult for you to communicate is because growing up as a child, if you grew up in chaos, you had to be hyper vigilant and constantly read between the lines to basically guess what outcomes were going to happen, to predict if there was going to be a fight or an argument, or predict if maybe one of your parents was going to be using substances or alcohol. Like there was usually so much going on for whatever number of reasons that you might have been surrounded with that you couldn't really think about yourself. And it's part of why, as a fearful avoidant attachment style in your adult life, it can be really difficult to actually prioritize yourself because your entire subconscious comfort zone and everything that made you feel comfortable in the way that you adapted to your home as a child was basically about focusing externally on everybody else, trying to predict their behaviors, guess what was going to happen. And there wasn't room for you to have needs. There wasn't room for you to think about your feelings, your boundaries, or to really take yourself into consideration. But as an adult, this is blocking you in all of your relationships because it's going to keep you locked in this cycle of feeling like everybody puts you last, or your feelings are not seen and heard, or you're feeling like you're loved conditionally, or that there's all these expectations on you. Why is this? Because until you learn to share your truth, until you learn to actually open yourself up and say, hey, these are my feelings, these are my needs. These are my concerns in a relationship, and I need you to be more considerate of them. Until you give people the information they need, they can never properly consider you. And as a fearful avoidant, you may be really good at reading between the lines and guessing things, but I guarantee you're still not knowing everything that somebody's needing in a relationship for you 100% of the time. And neither is anybody else, but particularly if you are dating somebody of a different attachment style than you, not everybody else is as hypervigilant and as good at reading between the lines and guessing what people need as a fearful avoidant because not everybody grew up in that kind of environment. And so part of your healing, part of your growth, part of actually feeling like you can trust somebody comes from you communicating. See, trust is often earned. Yes, we have a baseline of trust. We give trust to various degrees. An example of this is you may trust a friend of yours not to steal all your belongings if you live with them, but you may not trust, a stranger on the street at 2 a.m. with your bank account information, right? So we have a baseline degree of trust that we give to people. And that's based on our evaluation of things, right? You're going to trust your friend that you live with. But there is a foundational part of trust that is earned, and we can't even give people the opportunity to earn that trust until we tell them when they hurt us or what hurts us or what our fears are. Because with that understanding, they can now consider you. They can now make sure they don't hurt you the same way again because they know what you're sensitive to. And one of the biggest things that I think can be a tragedy in the life of a fearful avoidant is that you never know how much people are actually willing to show up for you and available to show up for you and care to show up for you until you learn to communicate. And I've seen with person after person, and I'll share from my own life, like I definitely grew up as a fearful avoidant, feeling like I couldn't share things with people, feeling like it was too vulnerable, sort of this assumption, like, oh, I'm not going to get my needs met anyway, so why bother? So I spent so many years of my relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, family relationships, trying to pour into other people in ways that I could without considering myself and definitely without communicating what I was needing from other people in my life. And so I would burn out all the time, right? It's a recipe to be burnt out by relationships and then withdraw and kind of fall off the map. And then people feel like, hey, where did you go? And they're disappointed with you. This is not a good cycle to be in. So, I have some really exciting news, and it's that integrated attachment theory training is back. In other words, you can be trained to become a relationship coach certified in integrated attachment theory in literally 60 days. So, who is this for? Well, of course, this is for any individual who wants to make an impact and really be of service to others while also obtaining freedom and flexibility and abundance in their lives. And this is also for anybody who's already a counselor, a therapist, a coach, and just really wants to expand their toolkit. We've had so many people enter into the integrated attachment theory program because they're just looking to obtain a certain degree of mastery in terms of understanding their own attachment patterns and also the attachment patterns of maybe their children or partner or other loved ones in their lives so they can really support those people and understand them more deeply. Now, please keep in mind that the last 2 times we ran this program, we filled up very fast. In fact, we oversold the programs and sold out completely. So if you're interested, click the link below to learn more and dive in with me. And I'd love to see you on the other side before seats run out. And if you're only ever showing yourself with conditions, like you're only ever showing yourself, in your best behavior, trying to be there for everybody else, you're only leaving room in your own life to be loved conditionally. And one of the things that was so incredible to me, and I'm speaking for myself, but I'm literally speaking for hundreds, if not thousands of fearful avoidants I've also worked with as clients over the years, is that, and I'll just speak from my personal experience, but I found that when I actually started telling people, hey, it actually affects me when you do this in the relationship, or I actually am really sensitive to this type of comment. Can you be more mindful in the future? Or, hey, I really need a friend, or I really need some support. Could you ABC? When I started opening up and having those conversations, at first it terrified me. I was really, really afraid. It felt super uncomfortable. But I just knew I was gonna do it enough until it felt easy, until I had normalized it, basically through exposure work, right? Which reconditions the subconscious over time to basically expand out its comfort zone. And what I found is like I couldn't believe how much people wanted to show up and care for me and meet my needs or be mindful of my sensitivities or be mindful of the things that were important to me once I had communicated them. And it made me feel so much more loved, so much more connected, and so much more like I could trust other people in life. Trust, and one thing I learned is that trust is not based on people doing things perfectly because they won't. People will hurt you sometimes. They will make a mistake that will let you down. But the real trust happens when, if that should be the case, if somebody made a mistake, they forgot something that mattered to you, or they said the wrong thing and it affected you, when you go to them and you have a healthy conversation and you say, hey, that affected me, or hey, you forgot this thing and it was actually really important to me. Can you try to remember next time? If you say these things, if you have those dialogues, when you see people show up and do their best to make sure it doesn't happen again, or show up and really be mindful about those things in the future, it allows you to feel like you can lean on people differently. It allows you to feel like you can let people in it. It really makes you feel seen and heard and loved. And over time, as you keep communicating and fostering that communication in your life, you will see that suddenly you're surrounded by a bunch of people who know you deeply, who care about those things that you shared with them, constantly trying to show up for you the way that you were showing up for them. And this becomes a beautiful way of really relating to people and really feeling loved with many less conditions in a much more unconditional manner. So I can't stress enough how important it is to communicate. And if you don't know what you want to communicate, if you're not sure, I have a course all about needs and communication. You can check it out fully for free for 7 days. It's all about deeply understanding what you need from the relationships around you, and then you can actually take this out into the world and communicate this and share this with others. And as you do, it doesn't guarantee that everybody's gonna be perfect at it, okay? It doesn't mean that everybody's really in a healthy space to show up, but in that course, it talks about how to properly vet people, how to know if somebody's gonna show up, how to assess what type of person they are, and how to sort of do a little bit of exposure work to ask for little things from people and see if they respond in a healthy way. And if so, you have green lights. If not, okay, maybe this relationship doesn't belong at a much deeper level of closeness. Maybe I should be focusing my time and energy and attention on people who really do want to invest in this relationship the way I'm looking for right now, or the way I'm showing up for other people. And as you do that, and as you vet, and as you slowly but surely open yourself up to more and more people, you will come to find, although it takes time, it is well worth the time, because you will come to find that there are lots of people in your life who really know you, who really consider you, who really express care in the exact ways that you need, because you did the work to be vulnerable and communicate. So I can't stress the importance of this enough. Of course, there's the root cause of feeling like you couldn't get your needs met, but the two-step solution is to know your needs, to communicate them vulnerably over time. And that bonus sort of piece at the end is that the more you vet people and you do some exposure work to slowly but surely get there, you will come to build in those relationships in your life that are deeply meaningful and really make you feel loved. So that's my wish for you if you're a fearful avoidant. Having been a fearful avoidant in the past, it is very difficult, but it also doesn't have to be that way. So, huge step to becoming securely attached as well is the needs, is the communication work that we talked about in this video. So, I really hope you take this to heart and open up your practice of doing this. That's it for today. If you're enjoying this channel, please consider subscribing. I put daily content out here about attachment styles, the subconscious mind, healing, communication, boundaries, needs, all this stuff, and would love to be able to share it with you each and every day. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.